Morning, everybody. Heather the Bard here. It is a really cold day, so I'm back here at my kitchen table. So today I'd like to talk about selecting a tin whistle, what types there are, things you should look for, and that sort of thing. So first of all, in terms of type, you have a variety of different options, especially today with we have a bunch of makers and a few factories that also manufacture these instruments. So one of the first types is the conical bore versus the cylindrical bore. And this is a conical bore. You can see how it's wider up here near the fipple or the mouthpiece, and it tapers to the end. And a cylindrical bore is just a tube, just a straight tube. You can see the size difference. Oops, there we go. See that? Okay. Also, other options is you can have an all-metal tin whistle. This is an all-metal tin whistle. It's painted black, but this is the original Clark design. It's just a rolled tube of tin, and the fipple is integrated with the rest of the instrument. This variety has a wood block that's held in, and so it's all metal. You can have metal and polymer or plastic. Usually what that looks like is one of these. So you have the metal body with a polymer or plastic mouthpiece, and there's different mouthpiece designs. Fipple designs. See, this one kind of slips over and it kind of bells out right there to fit over the tube. This one just slips on there, and this is a little bit different design of mouthpiece. Both of these are Fadog whistles, and this was the old variety and this is the new variety. So I don't know if you can even find these ones. They have the little swoop. Some players say that the new variety with the more flat design plays better. Again, personal preference. We'll get into that in a minute. The other variety of whistle is the polymer or plastic. This is a Sasato whistle, and this is just polymer. I have another one. I didn't get it out, but I have a Tony Dixon D made out of Delrin, which is another variety of polymer. And it looks a little bit different, but there, again, it's just lathed plastic, molded plastic. There's also makers who make whistles out of wood. I don't have one of those on hand, but they are out there. And you can find the wood ones in a variety of exotic types of wood, like cocobolo or rosewood or maple, just a variety, which kind of adds a whole other aspect of aesthetic, what you prefer and what you think is sounds good and is beautiful. And so that kind of brings me to what you're looking for. So first of all, your tin whistle needs to be able to play in tune. And what that means is when you play a note, if you have a tuner, the tuner shows that it's in tune, that it's not sharp and it's not flat. You want an instrument that plays as closely in tune across the entire range of the instrument. The hard part about that is that you may not be able to test that before you buy an instrument. But that kind of brings me back to one of the other types, is that even though you may not be able to test it, lots of times you can go on YouTube and find reviews by other players who've played instruments to kind of get their idea of whether it plays in tune or not. And also, there's inexpensive whistles and there's expensive whistles. The inexpensive varieties, these ones usually run, at least last time I bought one, they were around $8. They're probably around 10 to 12 right now. I looked, this is a Clark Sweet Tone, and I looked this one up on Amazon and it runs about $12 to $15. So under 20 bucks, inexpensive. This one, the Sasato, the D runs around 55. And that's the whole instrument. You can also pay more depending on what keys you want. The nice thing about Sasato is they have every key available. But it also depends. The Tony Dixon D that I referenced, that I don't have out here to show you, that one was about a $30 whistle. And you can buy ones that are clear up $200, $300, $400 with, you know, sterling silver, accoutrements, and all kinds of things. So it kind of also depends on how much you want to pay. How much you pay doesn't necessarily mean whether that's what you want either, because again, a lot of what you play with your instruments, with these, kind of brings in the realm of personal preference. One of the things you want to check for is playability. Is it easy to get all the notes when you play? Is it easy to make jumps and do the ornamentation? Does it sound good when you do that? Does it squeak? Does it honk? One of the things the Sasatos typically get criticized for is that when you go into the second octave, you need this push of extra air to get it to sound cleanly, and so it doesn't just sit there and go honk. My baby is asleep in the other room, so I'm not going to play Make It Honk for you, but that might be another video. Whereas some of these other ones, they don't require that extra push of air or they honk. But some of them, this Fadog that I picked up in particular, it's a little squeaky in between the notes. And I haven't been able to figure out whether that's an issue with the blade and the fipple, or whether it's something with how the tube was machined. But it's, when you play it, it's got random little squeaks in it. And so that's something you also want to check, is playability. How easy is it for you to play? My recommendation is the Clark Sweet Tone. This is one of the easiest playing whistles I have ever seen. It's also one of the most more inexpensive whistles out there, and you really can't go wrong for 20 bucks. So that is my personal recommendation. In the interest of transparency, I am not paid to say that by Clark Tinwhistle, the manufacturing company. This was a whistle I bought with my own funds probably about 10 or 15 years ago, and so this is my personal opinion. For a beginner, this is a great one. The nice thing is that after you play for a little bit, you'll have a little bit better idea of what you want. And then at that point, you may want to invest in a more expensive variety. The other thing is sound. Depending on how the mouthpiece is, the fipple is designed, depending on whether it's cylindrical or conical bore, they're all going to have different sounds. The Sweet Tone sounds very different from the Sasato. The Sasato doesn't have as much breathy air to it, and this sounds cleaner than the original Clark's. And I will just do a quick little original Clark versus, that's the Sweet Tone, and here's the Sasato. So everyone sounds a little bit different. Again, I highly recommend looking up reviews on YouTube to see. And other than that, that's kind of what you need, where you need to start when you're looking at buying a tin whistle. How much you want to pay, what is aesthetically pleasing, because if the instrument is aesthetically pleasing to you, you're going to want to pick it up more. And that also depends on what material it's made out of and everything. And then whether it plays in tune, what it sounds like to you, and how well it plays. So I'm Heather the Bard. Thank you for tuning in. I'll have another video next week. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. You can catch me on Tumblr, on Facebook, on Steemit, or if you are interested in supporting my project of presenting free music lessons online, visit my Patreon page. It's patreon.com/HeatherTheBard. And thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.